So is your business running you, or are you running the business? Do you feel like you're a slave to it? Are you able to step away from the business and let the business serve you? If you're not able to, then you might find you're lacking in work-life balance. And the reason we call it work-life balance is because they do have to sync, don't they? They go hand in hand. If you're not enjoying your work and you're unhappy in work, then that is going to affect your life. It's going to affect your relationships and your family life. And we really want both to be in sync. We want you to be happy at work and, of course, happy in life too. They really go hand in hand. So how do we achieve that? It's not elusive. You can achieve it. So what is needed to achieve a good work-life balance? Well, let's have a quick look at this training that we've got on this. We call it the work-life balance builder because it is a case of building this. It takes time to build this up. It doesn't happen instantly. Just like you're going to build a house, you've got to get the foundations in place and then build on it. So what are some of the key signs to see if you haven't got balance in your work life? Well, some of the things that might be happening, you might be feeling very stressed and angry with things at the moment. If you find you're constantly angry, constantly stressed, it's probably because your business isn't serving you and you can't step away from it. You probably find that you haven't got enough time. If you worked 7 days a week, you probably still wouldn't get everything done. So that is a real cause of frustration for many business owners. And it's likely that you're starting to feel a little bit burnt out with it all. You've had enough and you're not sure if you are able to go on. Ultimately, all this leads to you feeling a little bit out of control in your business. And that's really worrying, isn't it? If you're feeling out of control, you don't know what to do next and what steps to take. And if you feel like that, I understand it because I've been there and I've had a business that didn't go as well as what I wanted it to, and I didn't have work-life balance and it was really frustrating. So I had to make big changes to try and resolve that. So what do we want for you? Well, what we really want is for you to be happy. We want you to be able to enjoy your work, be satisfied with what you're doing. We want clearly that to spill over into your family life. We want you to have time for things that matter. If you're constantly working, then you haven't got time for your family and your relationships. So that needs to be resolved. Have time to do what you want to do. And we want you feeling energized, invigorated. We want you to jump out of bed in the morning feeling, I love my life and I love my job and my work. That is the key, isn't it, to it all? And that's what we want you to be able to achieve. If you're able to do all of that, we would say that you've got work-life success. That's what we're looking for. So that all sounds great, but how do we actually achieve it? What practical steps can we take to do that? Well, I've got a little model here, and I know that there are 6 steps to you achieving this. And if we just focus on each step at a time, let's focus first of all on time. How do we get you more time back to do what you want? Because if you haven't got time and you're feeling burnt out and you're stressed, then you're lacking the balance. So we need something to overcome that. So one of the first things we need to do with time to resolve it is what we call a time audit. Now this is really important, doing a time audit. You may never have done this before, but a time audit shows you where you're spending your time every week. Now you can do a time audit manually where you track your tasks. What we often recommend our clients do is a time audit by using an app. So there's loads of apps out there, just type in time tracker apps or time audit apps and you can track, there's one just straight away I can think of, Clockify, which is really good. It's free, and as soon as you start work you push the button and you start tracking your time and you tell it what you're working on. I'm doing emails, and then you finish your emails, you stop it, and then you move on to the next task. I'm now organising my site, so I'm talking to my site team, and you keep stopping it and starting it right the way through the day. You track your time if you've gone to the gym, you track your when you finish work, all of that stuff. So what we really want you to do is not track the whole 24-hour period, but we want you to track whilst you're in work, what's happening during work hours. What we do then with that time, it might sound a little bit tedious, but what that then does is if you do that for 7 days, it will spit out a report and it will show you exactly where you're spending your time. And this is often a real eye-opener for many because they realise they're spending hours and hours each week on mundane tasks. I'm always talking about this, how most business owners are focusing their attention on the wrong things. And it's actually only when you do a time audit that it opens your eyes and you're like, wow, I cannot believe I'm spending 4 hours a week on emails, or 4 hours a week on this, picking up materials and bringing it to site. It will be something stupid that you don't realise. So this really is important to do this time audit, because immediately, if we could hand those tasks off, and if you're aware of what those tasks are and you think, right, that's it, I'm never doing that again, I'm going to train someone else to do that. Imagine I got you back 4 to 8 hours a week, which we do regularly with our mastermind clients. We instantly find the time. What would you go and do with that? I know if I had 4 hours, I'd go and play golf, which I do a couple of times a week. So that's really important. Get that time back, because it's really important for you to go and do the things that you really want to do in business. So that's the first thing. Do a little bit of a time audit. The second thing we need to do is think about the 80-20 principle. So I don't know if we've ever come across that before, the 80-20 principle, or it's called the Pareto principle. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But what the concept is that 80% of our outcomes, or 80% of our results, come from 20% of our efforts. So what we mean by that is sometimes you'll find that the majority of your work, let's say 80% of your revenue, comes from 20% of your clients. So it might be coming from the same architects, or the same main contractors, or whatever it is that you're currently working for. And often 80% of our results come from 20% of the efforts we're putting in. So the point is, we really need to think about where's the best place to focus my time and energy so that I can get 80% of my results. And you can look at all areas of your business in this. We want to analyze things like what are the low impact tasks that I should be ignoring, because that's not going to get you to 80% of your results. You really want to think of the high impact things in business that really give you the results. So prioritize those high value returns. So that's really crucial. If you can do that, and you're focusing on the right things that are delivering the right results, and you do a time audit, and then you take action on that time audit, I promise you that will get you time back. Absolutely 100%, that will get you time back if you implement that. And like I said, imagine we could get you back 4 to 8 hours every week. Why not? I've always worked a 4 hour week. I've done it for years. Not always, sorry, but I had, once I took care of my business, I was able to work a 4 hour week, and I've never changed that. And it's amazing. And all it is just prioritizing. I'm not doing anything special. I'm just prioritizing where I focus my time, and I do a time audit, so I'm not spending time on silly tasks. And you constantly have to review this, because every now and again I do take on silly tasks, and I think, why am I preparing slides for this presentation? That's ridiculous, that's mundane, let me send that to someone else. And then you realise that you've been caught up in the trap again, and you have to time audit again. So I do this all the time. So that's the first thing. Let's get some time back, because that will help you with your work-life balance. What about the next thing? How do we avoid getting burnout? Well, there's two things we have to do to avoid getting burnout. The first thing we really want to do is understand why you're in business. This is really important. So understand your why. You might remember this book. Let me just show you it. This one here by Simon Sinek, which is called Find Your Why. Now, you might think, oh, this is really high level rubbish, Greg, what's important? Why is this really going to help me? But we really want to think about why you're in business. Now, I'm not talking about this motivating your team necessarily, which it does. If you've got a really good reason you're in business, it can motivate your team. But I'm talking about you directly. Why are you doing this? Why have you decided to work for yourself? And think about what's important to you. What do you actually want to achieve? So for some of my clients, when we run this exercise and we find out why, they tell me that they want to create a property development company. So they want the building company to get to a certain size, and then they're going to do property. Others want to buy out other businesses and create a group of companies. Others want to create a business that they can exit one day and be financially free and retire early. So there's going to be different reasons. Everyone's got a different why on why they're doing this. Why are you in business in the first place? But do you actually know the reason why you're doing it? What is your specific why? I want you to reflect on that, because if you can really reflect on that, then that helps you with burnout. And what you're really looking for to help identify your why, think about your motivations. That might be your family. You might have a passion for building, whatever it is. Maybe it's financial stability. Consider the impact you're going to leave on others. So for some, it's leaving an impact that they're going to be able to pass their business on to their children. And think about all these sort of things. This is different ways that you can really find your why. Now, when you do that, that just stops you getting burnout, because you realize the reason why you're doing this and you're building something special and important. And it's good to reflect on that when you're feeling like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Then if you can do that, it stops that burnout. The second thing we want to be able to do is delegate. This is absolutely crucial, and this really links back to the time audit, because the time audit will show you when you should be delegating. So you've really got to think about, what are tasks that I can hand off to other people? Who in my team can I hand it off to? If I haven't got anyone in my team, can I hire a VA to hand off some of my tasks to? Or can, if say for example, you're never doing your social media or you're never doing your marketing, can you hand it to an agency so they deal with all of that for you? That can all be really useful. So think about how you can delegate, and if you can delegate well and you find your reasons why you're in business in the first place, this will help stop the burnout. Because just thinking about this one again, the why, when you're that motivated and you're really enjoying business because you've got a pure motivation going on, you don't find it work like it's work. It doesn't feel like work, and you won't get that burnout. So what's the last thing? How do we stop the stress? Well, what we need to do first is identify the triggers that are causing stress. This is really crucial. You need to identify what are your specific stress triggers. Now, it's going to be different for everyone, but for most people, a big stress trigger is cash flow problems. When they haven't got the money to pay the suppliers or their subcontractors, the financial side of it can be a trigger to creating stress. So you need to understand, what are your specific stress triggers? Is it dealing with clients? That could be a huge stress for you, that you don't like talking to them. And you need to come up with a plan on how you overcome that stress trigger. If the stress trigger is financial, you need to work out a plan on how you're going to make a certain amount of profit, and how you're going to have a buffer in your business that's always in there that you never touch. So maybe you need a 50 or 100 grand buffer in your business that never gets touched, and you need to come up with a plan on how not only are you going to generate that, but then how do you keep it in your business. And that will completely get rid of that stress trigger. So think about that. What's triggering you, and then how can you potentially overcome that? And the last thing you need to sort out with stress is, often we forget about this, but you've got to look after number one. And you are number one. You are the business. If you crumble and your mental health crumbles and you just can't cope anymore, then everything collapses, doesn't it? You lose your business. It affects your family, your employees, all of that stuff. It all crumbles. So you have to look after yourself, and that means taking time out to look after yourself. Does that mean going to get a massage, or doing a hobby that you absolutely love, or whatever it is? Go to a spa for the day. Whatever it needs to be, you need to be able to look after yourself. So prioritize your physical health, get down the gym, look after your diet, get professional support if you need counseling or coaching on that, then get that. But you need to really look after number one, otherwise you're not going to be able to survive. So these are the 6 keys that you need to fix: the time audit, the 80-20 principle, delegate, find your why, understand your stress triggers, and look after number one. If you can do all of that, it will help you get a work-life balance. Now, we've obviously rushed through that in 10 minutes or so, but you really want to do a little bit of a deep dive and start asking yourself some deep questions on this. And we've got a workbook that goes along with this that will just prompt you thinking about how you can resolve these things. As we said, one key thing we do in our businesses with our mastermind clients is make sure we get them time, freedom, and money. It's so easy to scale a business, but it's not so easy to do it by creating those 3 things: time, freedom, and money. And if we can't achieve that for you, what's the point of being in business? So if you want to create time, freedom, and money for yourself and achieve a work-life balance, then book in a quick call with us. We'll uncover what's holding you back in your business at the moment, what's stressing you out, and how we can overcome it. We'd love to help you.